Thank you so much for coming in and watching this video with me today and participating. I am Colleen Comet online. I am the art, soul, and sexual expression guide here in the Sacred Heart and Sexual Soul group. I also work with Reiki and I'm a Tao practitioner. I actually got my certificate today for that. I'm very excited. It's done me wonders. And so I'm an energy healer, and I like to say I'm an artist and a performer and a kid at heart. Today though, I've been putting out a lot of live videos just because I have been really trying to put out this vibe, like who am I, right? But like, so I'm putting out this vibe today all about like how to biohack your brain, because don't we all get stressed out and depressed and have to really battle against this tough world? And it's the right time to put out this message, because I was really depressed for a really long time. Surprise, aren't we all? However, I don't identify with that at all anymore, and I've got the magic for that anybody can really access, and I really want to share that message. So yeah, so how are we hacking our brain from depression and anxiety, from destructive negative emotions to happiness, which is a productive emotion, right? It can be really complicated sometimes, and we really get attached to our experience. And there is a real reason why that happens, because our brains and our bodies are wired to respond to our environment emotionally, which releases a lot of chemicals and then imprints it into our memories and through time. And then we're kind of in this loop, right? So how do we get out of that loop? Is to understand a little bit about your brain. That's what really gave me the power to know that I can make decisions about my choices in life and how they're actually affecting my mood, my day, and my environment. So let's talk some science, because I'm secretly into science a lot, particularly biology, biochemistry, anything brain. And I'm really excited because in 2020 we're finally catching up to spiritual reality. Like it took science this long to catch up to spirit, because science has to prove everything, right? But now we can. We have so much technology. We have some amazing doctors out there. A lot of the stuff that I've gleaned from was actually one particular doctor named Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he is a neuroscientist and chiropractor, legitimately healed himself from paralysis with his own brain, and has gone on to he's like low-key Tony Robbins about everything, but like when you watch his work, he is phenomenal, and his science and techniques are solid. So like I gleaned some stuff from him, but in my own world as an artist, I was like, I gotta do my own thing, right? Because I'm also a chef and a creatrix, so I gotta do my own stuff. But anyway, so he talks a lot about just, hey, let's like empower ourselves with information. So learning about your brain is one great way to look into why we do the things that we do. Our brain is actually three parts, okay? So first we got the neocortex. The neocortex is all about your synaptic responses. So when you're thinking, when you're identifying with your external world, you're saying, okay, that is a plant, and that is white, and like she's wearing red lipstick, and I'm inputting that information into my brain. From there, your brain takes that information and creates a connection to it, right? So we see things through our brain, not through our eyes, but through our brain, and then we re-upload what we see into our brain, and it decides to demonstrate this knowledge. So if you're reading a book you really like and you want to memorize that, if you're studying for school, for example, you have to memorize all that, and then you have to demonstrate it by being able to write or speak or perform certain tasks from that knowledge. So that's your neocortex level. That's your thinking level, your conscious level, okay? From there, you go into your limbic system, okay? Just making sure I got this right. Now, your limbic system takes all of that stuff that we're associating with the external world and making memories with it. So it's kind of like fusing time into your brain with your thoughts and saying, hey, this is now becoming a memory. And that memory then responds, that memory is where we start getting emotionally responsive. Okay, so that's like where we're intelligent, okay? Most animals, they have only a mammalian brain, which is like sheer reaction and subconscious. Like we're hard drive from the very birth with a certain set of skills, and we go from there. But with us, we have this thought and limbic system that works together to really analyze and determine our reactions in this world. On a scientific level, this is also where we start creating pathways of how we react to these memories. So if you have a really positive memory over here about something you did, you're getting praise and rewarded for that. You're going to remember that response. You're going to remember that pathway, and you're going to keep doing that pathway, right? So you're like, I love riding my bike. I always ride my bike. I'm doing it, right? That's what I love doing, just as an example. Also in the long term, when you're always getting rewarded with those things, you tend to like keep going on that hard drive, right? So if you're really comfortable in your life, you're going to stay there. A lot of us do that. You know, we're in this society right now where we get comfortable and we want to stay there. Okay? The cerebellum now is the subconscious system. So that's, like I said earlier, just like a minute ago, it's like that was the very like early on brain. That's your subconscious. It's your tiny processor that does all the things that are automatic, that are so hardwired into you, like your conditioned beliefs, your reflexes, anything that's a behavior that is non-declarative. So you don't have to think, like, I'm not thinking about my hands, I'm thinking about what I'm saying to you, but my hands are doing my hands. That's your cerebellum. However, that is also where your habits of happiness lie. So you have to like build your happiness to that depth that you can be in a state of being happy, not just thinking happy. And that's how you have to combine all your brain together to take a moment like right now, download it into a point where you can print a memory into your conscious and subconscious layers, and just constantly be in that loop. Now, how do you get into that loop, right? Well, you got to give yourself what I did. I looked at this as an equation, okay? Because by proxy, we're born to be happy. We're born like completely blank slates, and then we get imprinted all this behavioral conditioning. We develop certain filters around certain people. We develop power dynamics. We have familiar relationships. We have to learn stuff. We're challenged. We hurt ourselves, blah, 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 blah. And then we're who we are. And when we need to change our life, okay, that requires chemical reactions. That requires us to take action. Because we have to change from being in the state we are right now to being in a different state. So, in the past, science declared that human brains are hardwired. So like, what you get is what you get. The reason why that they did that a lot, though, was because science is really biased, okay? Science, maybe 50, 40 years ago even, only had so many people and only had so many kind of like circumstances and equations to work with. When we're in this world now, we live in the age of the internet. We have so much knowledge, experience, advancements, and curiosity to it all. Like, you can get anything on the internet. Like, I'm just a tiny little speck on the internet and on the world. But now we really see that, and we can access it anything we want at any time. It's like such an evolution for our brains to be given such an expansive network to tap into, that science has really realized, no, we were able to change because look at all of the different things that humanity can do. Okay, so we've just like become, it's almost like we're at a new level of just awareness at that. So with that awareness, science opened up to say, well, okay, we need to restudy neuropathy and I want to say neuromechanics, because there's a lot of actual like nods to like work with neurology in this. But anyways, so now that we know that we can change ourselves, there's actually a word for it. It's called neuroplasticity. That was the word. Neuroplasticity is the ability for your environment to change over time and to affect your brain. Anyone can do it at any time. It's not, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Does not exist. You can learn at any time to do whatever you need to do. You just have to be open to it. You have to give yourself the right environment, and you have to spend time doing it, right? If you want to learn a new language, you have to immerse yourself in a culture. You have to continually study a book or like videos to learn the language. You have to speak it, you have to listen, you have to hear it, and then you have to go out and practice it, right? And demonstrate it. And with that practice over time and your body existing in that space, you learn that new language. Goes for anything else. Maybe it's more physical though, or maybe it's more mental. Doesn't matter as long as you apply yourself to it. So when you do these things, what happens? Why does habits and environment change your brain? It's not just your brain's like, cool. No, what happens is hormones. How hormones? So hormones is all about your endocrine system. Now we're getting into where spirit and science has like gotten together, because check it out, hormones and the endocrine system are so low key, have not been really talked about a lot, but they are. It's out there. But that's your chakra system, okay? Woo, like when I found that out, I kind of had that moment. I was like, oh man, now I'm really happy, because I love that it's taken so long for us to just simply be able to say, okay, we've proven this stuff, and it's totally associated with spiritual systems. So this is where life gets really fun. So when you think about chakras, you think, because we're a lot of spiritual people here, we think about chakras, we're like, we need to like balance our chakras, right? Well, what about balancing your hormones? And people talk about that too, but it's the same thing. Hormones are released when you have an external response to something internally, and your body needs to have an emotional state, okay? Simply put, but we have like 50 some odd hormones. When it comes down to happiness, we have it's like a good 20% of the hormones are happy hormones. But we're going to talk about mainly five or how many I got here? I've got how many hormones do I have here? We've got dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, estrogen and progesterone, and endocannabinoids, okay? There's a few other ones that are more like CGAs and stuff, but those are like kind of like down the line. Like the initial response of hormones is sort of like the first response to a reaction that your brain process happens. So when your brain takes in some information, says, okay, I'm watching this person on Facebook Live. They're really animated. I'm into it. I'm watching it. The first thing that's going to happen to you release peptides, because your body is saying, okay, now I'm in, from my neocortex to my limbic system, I need to make a memory of this because I'm learning right now. Boom, release some peptides. You're learning something. So when you learn, usually what do you want? You want praise. You want to be acknowledged. You want to be able to demonstrate that lesson later in life. So your dopamine's going to go off saying, okay, I'm doing something good right now. Let's like really be happy about this, because I remember happy moments, right? Cool. The same thing happens when you're stressed out. That's why you have trauma. You know, if you have a really stressful time with math, terrible. Geometry, math, not good. Anyways, you know, you might be really stressed out about a certain subject or whatever. Your body's going to do that same thing. It's going to say, oh, I have to do math. Oh my God, I have this memory deep down in my cerebellum. Math is terrible. And I cried on my accounting exam for the second time. I couldn't do it. I can't do math. It's totally me right there. So I had to make that example. But essentially, hormones create a memory imprinted in your body, which reacts with more hormones, and then you have this loop, right? So yeah, we're all just a bunch of hamsters on a wheel in our brains. How do we hack out of this? How do we get our brain to do something different? And it's how we get our hormones to react differently, okay? Through action. So let's go through a little bit about, just really quick, because I got a surprise at the end of all this, so I don't want to get too into it. So our hormones that we look at, we can hack into them because those are our responses, right? We may not be able to change our subconscious, but we can just remake new synapses because our brain has such a neuroplastic ability to rebuild, and literally we rewire around trauma. Like, I know there's still stuff in my brain that I'm like, oh, there's this thing, but I'm like, no, I just go right around it. I don't react to it anymore because I'm not emotionally imprinted and attached to it. I have this new pathway, right? And how you do that is with hormonal responses to your actions in the present. So when you look at hormones, you got different ways that hormones work. You got endorphins, which are like opioids, right? If you are doing a workout and you get all sweaty, you're just automatically feeling like that nice buzz. That's such a super physical endorphin, like a super physical hormonal reaction. It's very short term, but it gives you that reward to say, I'm going to keep doing those really physical, excitable things like dancing or taking a walk or being in nature or like going out and running. Like it's a short-term physical response to physical activity. So essentially, if you're sweaty, you're going to be guaranteed getting endorphins in you. Dopamine is another short-term release. Dopamine obviously is more substance as well. We know dopamine as being like eating sugar is like that dopamine. It's also, you know, doing cocaine. You get dopamine. It's a quick response to pleasurable activities that you've also made a habit of. I like to call the dopamine as the inner child of happy hormones. There's a bit of a spiritual connection there because dopamine and your inner child, a lot of your inner child just wants like really basic, really deep learned things like cereal. Okay, it sounds so silly, but it's a substance. It appeals to you. You're going to pick a specific cereal because you know what you like, and that's very dopamine oriented. And when you eat it, you get that like right away, that kick from sugar probably, or just the enjoyment of like, oh, I'm eating cereal, I'm so silly. That's dopamine. So I like to say that's the inner child of hormones. And it's really good to tap into that one because she's easy to deal with. You just have to know to tap into your inner child. Hence the video earlier this week, guys. Come on now, it's all connected. I know what I'm doing. All right, so like favorite foods, playing games, finishing projects as well, like, you know, doing homework. It gives you that dopamine, but it's short term, okay? So you want to get a bit of those, and then you got to go for the long-term ones. Biggest long-term one is serotonin, okay? Serotonin is legit. It only builds into you over time. You can't just boost your serotonin. You have to build your serotonin. It is the main ingredient in all antidepressants because that is the first thing that actually goes. And people that have depression, I know this. I had to rebuild my serotonin. I knew that having depression was associated with that, and what I did was I started eating better because your serotonin is made in your digestive system. I wonder why our entire food system is so bad, and then people have depression, and wink, telling you. Okay, so proper diet, long-term hobbies also, like just generally knowing that you have like things to look forward to also build your serotonin level. And I'm not going down the conspiracy route, but trust me on this, your diet has something to play in your mental health, okay? It is a thing. So second big long-term hormone is oxytocin. That's more of like a social stimulant. As we're still always reacting to the external world, as much as you can, like in general, you can do everything on your own. But oxytocin is kind of like the praise for belonging. Okay, you're gonna get oxytocin when you're around someone you love. It's the love hormone. That's the big, quote of what they like to call that. But it's basically being supportive in your environment. Okay, if you feel safe, if you feel loved, if you feel, you can probably do this on your own too. I feel like I've had to develop a lot of my social network, and it does get better once you start feeling happier in general. You're attracting better people in your life. You're feeling more like you belong with where you're at. Like that all starts to come forward. But it is a long-term thing because this is part of developing who you are as an identity. Okay, so I would say like being around kids, doing something nice for other people too, just being generous, being of service, that's a huge one as well. And of course, like I said, like getting physical affection from people is the hormone of oxytocin. So here's a new one. A lot of people are getting into this now that cannabis is becoming a thing in North America especially. endocannabinoids are a thing in humans. This is why cannabis is like so harmonious with us. I feel like the people that I know would definitely say that like cannabis came from something else in the world, dropped down. It's an entity like mushroom. If people aren't aware of mushrooms, when you do like psychedelics, and this is a part of like what I've researched into a lot in my life, psychedelics are a lot about taking in entities and just immersing yourself in a different world, and the chemical reactions that go in with these natural psychoactive substances, they heighten you naturally because we are also attuned and aligned to these entities, okay? I'm going to keep it real simple though, and I won't go down that too much, but if someone is interested in talking more about like spiritual psychoactive experiences on like a very like alien level, I'm into that. I would love to do that. It would give me something to do because I love the research as well. Right now it's getting really, really big. And I've stopped researching like in 2012 after DMT that I did. I was like, okay, that's enough for me. I'm going down the deep end. I need to take some time on my right-hand path for a bit. Hence why I'm here now. Alas, so endocannabinoids are like a newfound happy hormone. But at the same time, again, spirit and science have been aligning. Endocannabinoids have always existed because they're that hormone that makes you feel bliss. Okay, and there is a difference between happiness and bliss. When you're doing a deep meditation or some very intense kirtan chanting, kundalini yoga, tantra, breath work, like even if you do the Wim Hof method for like 5 minutes, you will start feeling bliss. And that is endocannabinoids. It's this feeling of just like pure clarity that is clean and open, and you're just there, present in that moment. It is unique in its own. So that is its own hormone, and it's definitely related to what we get from cannabis, that the cannabinol in cannabis is directly, it's the same thing when they're just different like categories of that hormone. All right, so the other hormones that regulate happiness more on just like a daily level. So I talked about short term, we talked about long term, we talked about like very specific with endocannabinoids, and then in general, your hormones, estrogen or progesterone, which everyone has, that is like sort of like your baseline. Okay, so these hormones are more about mood regulation constantly, right? And with women, we're going to have fluctuations, but men have fluctuations too, right? We all have fluctuations based on sleep, proper diet, routine, and appetite too, like if you're eating properly. So when you can regulate your general routine and giving yourself, yes, a level of comfort, a level of consistency and care, okay, that is the big one, you're totally going to be at a higher baseline with estrogen, progesterone, regulating that all the time. All right, so those are the hormones that give you some happiness. Now, how can you hack those hormones? Because that's really what it comes down to me. When I looked at all that, I was like, all right, I know my brain. I know what it's trying to do. I know I need to realign all this stuff. I know I need to rewrite some scripts in there. Cool, I can do that with happiness, with these hormones. If I, eat right and do some cool stuff every day and make sure I get sweaty and like, start acting more myself instead of being a fraud. And that was very specific, but like, well, anyways, very specific. Maybe I'll be happier. The truth is, that's what it was. Okay? Again, environment, body experience, and time is happy. All right? That's it. You're going to take your environment. You want to really expose yourself to what you know will make you happy. 2, you got your body experience. So how your body's responding is how your body is reacting to the environment. Okay, are you happy in the environment you're in? If you're not reflecting that as part of your day or like trying to make that effort, you're not going to be happy. Okay, and trust me, we're all exposing ourselves to things that are challenging, but you can choose to say, okay, but at the end of my day, I'm going to go work out, I'm going to come home, my house is nice and neat and tidy, or like I want to do that to feel better, and that is a thing that will make you feel better. You know, sooner or later you keep boosting that, and then with time you will start being in that state of happiness in your cerebellum level of brain capacity. Okay, because we don't have to just create happiness and live in this world. It's being happy, and the world just operates around you, and eventually, hey, we can all spread this happiness and we'll all be aligned and being happy. That's the point. That's the new 5D Earth, everyone. Come on. So this is why I'm talking about the science, because people want the proof. It's out there. I will definitely drop some references and resources, and I have that at the end. But yeah, if, you know, how do we use it in a way that, how do we use all this science? Like for me, like I said, if I look down that list of hormones, like what do I need to set off today first to really get my reaction aligned, my brain aligned to that happiness frequency? And for me, I picked endorphins first. I got sweaty, I ran hard, I ran a lot. I ran and I worked out so much that like I could just forget about everything that wasn't making me happy. For a while that worked, okay? And that's not a wrong answer. There's no wrong answer in making yourself happy. You know you best, okay? Deep down inside, you know you. You know what you have to do. So taking action is what is important. So doing short-term mindfulness activities on a daily basis, moving your body, challenging yourself to expand your mind's neural circuitry and get you off these old tracks. That's big. Long-term, you want a healthy diet, high frequency foods. You want to balance, you know, you want to find that ability to do that and choose that for yourself. You want to build up, because you want to build up your digestive system, okay? And then you want a regular practice to enhance your endocannabinoids, because those things are big. Like I would take the big players, that's one of them. Endocannabinoids and serotonin, like really high concentrated stuff, because you can just get yourself off of all of the depressing tracks from the get-go with those, and go right into bliss and proper health, and you'll just naturally start magnetizing the happiness in my world, okay? Because that's what I did. I started doing a spiritual practice, and I started eating better, and then of course I was working out and really getting sweaty. Now my biggest thing is definitely the bliss. I do an intense meditative chanting kirtan practice daily. I also do regular Reiki and Tao energy healing practice, just to continually align my chakras, to check in with everything. And you know, then I do some playful creativity stuff, right? So what else can we do that spirit has shown has been happy? They're really simple stuff. Like we can talk about all the like health stuff, but the really simple things are gonna make you feel authentically you, and that counts times 1,000, okay? I don't want to have a healthy diet and like just meditate, and then what, I'm gonna end up like some monk somewhere, and maybe that's not me. I did that. I really did. I kind of went like really right-hand path after I got off this crazy left-hand psychotropic trip and was like, wait a minute, I'm neither of these. I kind of want to be a little bit of everything, but at the same time, I kind of just want to like get healthy first too, because I had a lot of issues with my adrenal glands for a while. That was really messing up my life, and but that's no more. So here's what spirit knows. Don't we all hear it? Like, we always hear like, oh, this sacred shaman is always saying, if you don't dance and you don't sing, then what is worth living? And they're right. You need to play, you need to create, and you need to stimulate yourself in your way, your very special way. So I ask if anyone's watching right now. I see a couple of people came in and made some comments, thank you. And if everyone's around, like, what do you like to do to play? Do you play games? Do you perform? Do you have competitive sports, okay, with your friends? That is a huge one. In fact, you know what? I'm going to make that our question for the contest. If you haven't heard, there's a contest going around. I'm giving it up tomorrow. I have a special piece of art, plus an individualized like crystal talisman session with me, where I'm going to hang out with you, do a nice healing, and send you like, you know, a concentrated energy booster crystal with this beautiful piece of art to you and yours personally, just as a reward for hanging out and participating with me. So what do you like to do to play? Because that is going to make you happy. And you can feel free to answer this even if you're watching the recording. It will count up until tomorrow. So yeah, that's a big one, is playing. Playing will get that endorphins going. Playing will get that oxytocin going. Playing will get your endocannabinoids going, depending on what you're doing. Creating for yourself, doing expression and like self-expression, doing writing, doing art, that's another one. And then like physical self-care, right? So when you're stimulating yourself with physical self-care by, you know, doing all those nice things, having a spa day, that's totally a thing. Having sex, yes, big time, I'm not even going to deny that. Sex is on that list. I know I don't talk about it enough, but the reasons why I don't talk about it a lot yet is because I haven't gotten there. And because it's definitely a specific topic that has a whole lot going on in there. But anyway, so sex does, it raises your oxytocin big time, raises your dopamine levels. Kundalini yoga, that stimulates those endocannabinoids again, that also stimulates your dopamine levels, especially when you're doing lots of breath work. That's huge. Breath work too, by the way, stimulates your DMT levels, and when you get dimethyltryptamine in your body, you start just magnetizing your more like authentic soul expression, which then will also counter into, hey, I need to do more me, and that'll make me more happy. So there's so much going on with hormones and your body and science and happiness, but this is really like all you could start with. If you started with doing something for yourself for 15 minutes a day, having, you know, maybe 10 minutes of mindfulness affirmation practice in the morning, and then like a 5-minute dance breakout of like ecstatic wild dance, like wherever you are at that moment, just like a timer on, and wherever you land, you're gonna dance. You'd be surprised how that will start shifting after, you know, a week, and you'll start doing more. You'll start to want to challenge yourself more. And that's what really started for me a couple years ago. It was just this very solid conscious choice that I made, saying like, I'm living this now. I'm not gonna be depressed anymore, because I know and believe that I can get over that and be who I really want to be. So this is a lot more in depth, and I have a lot more to talk about all of this. However, what I really want to do is introduce my ebook, How Get to That Happy Pea, that I'm getting edited right now and forming into a beautiful book online, and I'm putting that together with my program that I'm launching October 1st. That's all about helping get past trauma and get to our happy places, okay? But I want to give this all to you for free as an early release before October. This book is going to be available, and it's going to break down the science and the spiritual, the spiritual, I want to say joining, but I want to say the scientific and spiritual marriage of the study of happiness and how to get there. And then I have a breakdown of a lot of really cool, artistic, fun, creative ways that you can hack your brain on a really high supercharged frequency level to just boost through. And honestly, if I did all the things on that list, because I did all the things on that list, but if I did all those things on that list, like just down the list, just did it and like dedicated to it, which I think might be a little difficult. They're some of them are specific, but like regardless, if I did all those things on that list in a really short amount of time, I would have fast forwarded my life years. Okay, but I took a lot of what had impacted me and my personal experience of really pushing myself into my authentic self-expression, really embodying my inner child, truly coming forward and saying, no, I'm demanding more of myself. I'm gonna get uncomfortable and get happy no matter what, and doing it all drug-free, alcohol-free, substance-free, like antidepressant free. Okay, like I said, I started with 15 minutes a day. I started eating better mainly, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger to where like my whole day make sure like I have this lifestyle that's around happiness. So if you would like this book earlier than any clients that I'm working with in the future in October, and you would like it for free, then drop a comment below in the link. Answer that question too while you're at it if you want that entry into the contest. And it will be sent out when it's done editing, I would say in the next couple of weeks, definitely before October. But yeah, this is my little mini series. I hope you appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or feedback, I love to hear it. Don't be shy. You gotta get to that happy pee. Just be you. I can take it with the best of us. And I also want to announce, I'm going to put up an event post, but tomorrow from 6 to 8, if you want to hang out with me on a Zoom, I'm going to put up a Zoom link. We're going to do some vision boards together, so you need some magazines and some tape and some scissors. I'm going to have some music on, or if you just want to come and hang out and talk with me or ask me any questions, I would love to hang out with all of you beautiful people here in my group, because this means a lot to me personally in my healing journey, that I am coming out more, I'm sending my message out more, and yeah, this is where I'm at in my happy journey, is to be teaching people now what I know. So yeah, come in tomorrow, have some vision board jammy jams. Also, yes, pajamas are involved. Am I kidding me? It was like a big sleepover idea for me, and I think I'm just playing it low key. But no, I want to wear my pajamas, and I want to make a vision board, and I want to put on some music, and I want you to come and join me for an hour or two and check it out and let me get to know you a bit too. I would appreciate that. So yeah, answer the contest. That'll be given away tomorrow. Hang out the jammy jams and have yourself a wonderful, beautiful day. I am so appreciative to be here again in the Sacred Heart and Sexual Soul group. You have yourself a lovely evening. Happy Thursday.